This is a short video, and I'm explaining one particular way to use evidence that you can practice this week, but a lot of you have been practicing it already, and I'm noticing mostly real mastery of this skill. So consider this validation of something you might already be doing. All right, so basically, words and phrases and embedded quotes is the skill that we're thinking about. When you're seeking evidence for your claims, you think of it in terms of words and phrases. What are the words and the phrases from my text that I need to pull over to my analysis? I am offering a tip. Think of it as peppering your language with evidence. Peppering, in that same sense visually, is small pieces of pepper, if you will, or spice, that go all the way through your dish, rather than huge clumps of an ingredient that are not distributed evenly throughout. Pepper, too, think about the smallness of that, the small granule of what it is that you're seeking to use. The temptation, here's the rest of the slide, is to quote big lines of text because that's the way we read. We finish a paragraph and we go, it was a great paragraph. Something from that was amazing to me. I'm just going to take it all. And the lines resound to you in some way that you don't have to really uncover. You just plop it in. That's the temptation. And of course, it's the temptation to avoid. If you do that, you don't actually end up analyzing the language. You sort of put it out there and say, something is great about this. Here's a general idea I have. So, pepper, tiny pieces. Let's look at the models. I'm going to pretend that we did this timed right. We didn't end up doing it because I assigned your longer paper instead. But this is, their eyes were watching God. And by the way, if you're interested in doing this prompt just for fun or for extra practice, really, feel free to. And then you'd email it to me individually. I've clipped this great moment where, of course, Janie is coming to her realization about marriage under the pear tree. And in those moments where she's having her brief epiphany, there's resounding and remarkable diction, words and phrases. So I could read this and I could say, back to my slideshow here, in the first half passage, as Janie is exploring nature, she seeks to understand this level at its sensory aspects. There's my claim. Here's my evidence. It, quote, had called her to come and gaze on a mystery. The next 4 lines are direct quotes, evidence from the text. And then I say, Janie sees the world through her 5 senses, like smell and sound, and it shows how tuned she is to nature. So I've done what I'm supposed to do in a way. I have my claim, I have my evidence, I have my analysis, but it's not good. I skip over all of the meaning that I could extract from this by trying to let it speak for itself. Of course, the author's already let the work speak for itself. My job as the analyst is to piece apart and pepper those pieces into my thinking, to show what I think of that. The evidence is here, but the problem is with craft. The idea is skip over meaning as a rock skips over water. And the reason is really concrete. There's 2 quoted at once. So, how do we do this well? Like this. Small quotes, 2 to 5 words at a time, pepper in throughout the analysis of this writer. Everything is contextualized within the writer's thoughts. Concretely, this means, again, there's never more than like 2 to 5 words quoted at a time. That's how to do it. And it's how to honor Hurston's words and phrases. So, same claim. In the first half of the passage, as Janie is exploring nature, she seeks to understand it at a surface level at its sensory aspects. But now, I move into evidence. She hears singing, flute, the alto chant of the bees, smells the rose of the world, feels the panting breath of the breeze, and sees the colors. I've shown each of the 5 senses being used rather than just saying it. This imagery, heavily focused on sensation, shows readers that Janie currently observes the world as a child, which is to say, in terms of what's obvious about her surroundings. It's a lovely piece of analysis. It also opens up a problem that the analysis can then address. So it sets up line of reasoning. The next paragraph, however, just as Hurston made a shift in her imagery and questions explained before, She changes the diction to focus on action-oriented verbs later in the passage. Another claim. She seeks, finds, stumbles, tips, searches, and breathes short with impatience. These words lend a feeling of urgency and of Janie staying in motion. Her mind is now focused not on what she experiences, but rather on what she does. So this writer, I said but it's another writer. It's a student I had in the past. They are honoring Hurston's small pieces of language by pulling them in very conspicuous, decisive ways to support an argument. And the common craft theme I see here, and I'll say it one last time, is little pieces of evidence all the way through. Again, many of you have been doing this. I applaud you. I want to encourage you to continue doing that in these last 2 weeks of the course.